Alright, so I'm going to be looking at some Diamond, Diamond 3 Junker Queen gameplay. You mentioned here that you think your cooldown usage is subpar, and on your second attack, you inted by forcing out Sleep Dart earlier, or not, excuse me, not forcing out Sleep Dart earlier. I watched the first phase, your attack, first attack and defense, so I haven't watched that second attack in particular. For starters, it's really easy to point to one specific moment in the game where you made some mistake and get punished for it, right? And you think you lose the game from that, right? But generally speaking, there are many times in a game where you can do something better, consistently, and never even be forced in that position in the first place, right? So sometimes thinking of things like that can be good, but if you just hyper fixate on this one play that just went horribly wrong, you're probably missing the forest for a tree, right? So to speak. Anyways, right? So since I watched pretty much most of your first attack and defense, I'd say right now, you're struggling primarily with keeping track of the enemy cooldowns, right? When the game gets kind of chaotic, yeah, you're just not positioning yourself according and playing according to what kind of cooldowns enemy team has, right? They're very important ones. Like for Ana, both her cooldowns are very important when you play tank, especially tank with no shield or no great damage reduction, right? Like Queen, for example, right? You have your shout and that's about it. Ana can be problematic, right? If you don't have your shouting, even if you shout, it's only what 200 extra over health, so it's still not the greatest thing to get nated because her gutting your self-sustain is just really bad news for you, right? And obviously, since you're pretty frail, if you get slept, sometimes you can just get insta-killed, right? Because you only have 525 HP, and you can just die by the time you're even able to input anything, right? Yeah, so I'll give more examples as the game goes on, but those are two incredibly important things to always know the status of and adjust your gameplay accordingly, right? If she has her cooldowns, you just can't play aggressively, and if she uses them, then you have to find a way to punish her or her teammate as soon as, or one of her teammates as soon as possible, right? Zarya is another big one, right? When she doesn't have bubbles, that's when you have to use all your cooldowns to try to run her over, or run someone else on her team over, ideally her, because she's kind of like you. When she doesn't have her bubbles, or when you don't have your shout, you're very vulnerable, but you also have the benefit of having a lot of self-sustain because all your wounds heal you too, right? But Zarya doesn't even have that, right? So she's quite easy to run over if you know she's too close and she has no bubbles, right? You do it one time this game, but there are other opportunities you could have done it too, right? Secondly, yeah, I do agree. I think you need to focus on your own cooldowns as well. There are a lot of things I'll bring up in this game, but for starters, I think you're using your axe swing or carnage, I think, too often when it's just not necessary, right? Especially against squishies. If you have the opportunity just to shoot them once or twice and kill them, go for that opportunity, right? Because your DPS from just shooting, I think your aim is decent enough, certainly decent enough for mid diamond, where you can just have better DPSs by shooting people. I mean, especially when they're running Torb Junk, which are two fairly easy DPS that consistently headshot or do a lot of damage to, because their hitboxes are fairly large. You're losing out on a lot of DPS by going through the animation of using your axe swing, right? And making yourself really telegraphed and easy to boop away or easy to hit, right? But you don't have to give up any of that when you use any of your micro positioning or micro movement when you use your shotgun, right? Secondly, you burn your shout a lot, right? You don't want to use it unless you see an opportunity to go in, right? Or if you have no choice and you'll die otherwise, right? I'll give you more specifics as this game goes on, especially also with your knife. But yeah, that's good for starts. And I guess third, you should be looking at your positioning. This is kind of vague, but you're sometimes not backing up soon enough when you're down players, and you're not ignoring the enemy tank enough when you have the opportunity to do so, right? It's intentionally kind of vague because positioning is kind of a vague thing, but these are just things you should keep in mind, especially also like with the cooldowns, especially like important people in the enemy team, of how you should be playing, right? This all like feeds into positioning. So here, right, this is okay. I would be like rewinding more, but the replay viewer is still having issues, and sometimes it was like crash out. If if you move around in the replay too much. Here, this is what I'm talking about. There's literally no reason to shout, right? You can LOS the Junkrat by just literally standing still. And you can not necessarily LOS the Zarya, but you can also back up, right? Or just jiggle a lot and make it really hard for her to deal full damage. And you're not really worried about the Moira. She does, what, like 50, 60 DPS. You could afford to be a bit more hesitant to use your shout because you just won't have it for like the next 14 seconds, right? And it just kind of makes it impossible for you to punish people when they overextend, and it also makes you impossible for you to like maintain your positioning afterwards, right? You see, you didn't end up even taking like any damage once you shouted, just because you backed up anyways, right? Here, if you have the opportunity to do so, I will say this Zarya used both her bubbles, right? And she's probably gonna have one. Yeah, she's gonna have one like right about now, right? Because Zarya has like 2 bubbles at the start of the fight, right? And typically speaking, by the time they use their second one, they're only going to be a few seconds, like 3 or less away from their third one at the very beginning of fights, right? And every time after that, it's like an additional 10 seconds, right? So this is something to keep in mind. Once you use Zarya, or once you see Zarya use 2 bubbles at the beginning of the fight, you generally speaking have like to force out a third, and then you have like 10-ish seconds of opportunity to like go on her or her backline. So here, right, you see her use the bubble. If you had your shout, this would be a really good opportunity to go on the Junkrat, right? There's no reason to be backing up here because the Zarya used all of her bubbles, right? Again, I'll look at Zarya. I guess she's about to have one again, right? But if she's going to consistently walk in with 30 charge and no bubbles, like she's just going to get a hard punish, right? You saw she was at low charge. Because she's obviously doing no damage to you and she's not particularly glowing right now. So there's no reason to be giving up this corner and just running away. You could have stalled the card at this corner and made it really hard for them to like peek this corner, right? Just what you'll have to imagine here. If the cart was stuck here and the Zarya wants to force you off the corner, right? Because you can contest card from here. She has to either walk up this way, right, which forces her into close range LOS, which is not where she wants to be against you, because you're doing full damage close range, but she can sit like anywhere within 15 meters and do pretty much max damage to you, or force her to like rotate out this way and peek this really wide angle, which allows her to get blown up by her team and makes it really awkward for her backline to heal her, right? This is kind of a positional thing. And I will also note that Zarya has like the overheal, whatever you want to call it. Which means Ana used her anti-nade, which is a common recurring thing. This Ana is just like consistently using her anti-nade on her teammates, and you just don't pick up on it a lot of times, right? So this is not the end of the world, right? Here again, right? This is kind of what I mean. When you have the opportunity just to shoot someone, just shoot them so that doesn't happen. Obviously, you should have seen this trap beforehand. He threw it down a while ago. Yep. It's a good time to back up now because you're whatever's dead, venture. That junk really should have died. Yeah, this Zarya is just continuously walking forward with like very few bubbles, right? It's been a while, so she's gonna have another one, but she's also like permanently low charge. So this is something you should keep in mind, right? Right. This is a position where the Zarya has no charge, so you're kind of free to walk forward. Again, right? No real reason to axe swing because you're just asking yourself to get booped around or like making yourself really predictable for this Ana sleep. I guess she doesn't have it quite yet. I wasn't really paying attention. But just in principle, right? It's not that important that she didn't have it right there. But she has her nade, right? And if you're extending that far in, you could get naded and die here because you just used your shout. I will say, knife usage-wise, you don't have to be so, I guess, scared or like pressured to use it, especially in these 1v1 situations, right? You just saw their entire team was the left side of like your cover. So if you take your time and line up your knife throw right now, it's effectively a 1v1 against you in the Torb, right? I mean, if the Zarya turns around and like stays here and tries to help the Torb, she's just going to get destroyed by your backline, right? She just cannot stay at this angle because she has no bubbles. Again, this Zarya is permanently at 0 bubbles and like 0 charge too. Yeah. Oh well. Happens sometimes. I will say you're still down one player, right? So you just kind of had to commit on the torp or keep backing out for a different angle. It happens sometimes. It's not the end of the world. That first point's kind of bad for Queen, anyways. In these situations, right, I wouldn't be using shout to rotate because you get to like this position here, you know, maybe 2 seconds sooner than you would, or you know, if you didn't use shout. But the problem is now you don't have it for 12 seconds to like use it on an opening, for example, like the Ana overextends without a cooldown, so the Torb overextends or something like that, right? And there, once you get up here, there's like literally no one for you to commit on anyways, right? The fight's going on top left, so like, you just kind of threw away your engage tool and just like ended up walking all the way over here anyways, right? You kind of didn't get the value from it, right? I would say be a little bit more aware of the traps. I would say taking a fight here is just like not what you want to do. By taking a fight here, maybe you Sojourn like peeks this angle anyways, right? And she just dies for it anyways. But really, you should be waiting for them to walk up, where you can like either shoot them, jiggle peek this corner, right, and just shoot them as they walk in. Cause, right, especially the Zarya has to like continuously look at you to do full damage, but that's not the case for you. And also, you just won't be forcing yourself in like this 3v1 situation, right? When you peek this corner into their entire team, you see how they're all able to shoot you. But in order for your team to help, they also have to like peek the exact same angle as you, and they just get killed by spam. What you want to be doing is like the opposite, right? Just bait them to come in and force your team, right, to be able to take a 5v1 whoever peeks that doorway, right? You know, effective 5v1. Again, no real reason to shout here. I guess you knifed. I wasn't really paying attention. I think rotating away from the Zarya is good, right? If a tank, you know, counters you, you want to be like ignoring them as much as possible and trying to like go on her backline. Or if we can stall you out very well. So I will say this Ana. I don't know if you saw it. She used her sleep and she just threw her nade. Like here-ish. Okay, she hit your Sojourn, right? So this is a perfect opportunity, right? If you still had your shout, or I guess you have it again now. Just ignore this Torb and just go on this Ana, right? The Torb's good. Okay, so you get the Torb anyways. You can still go on this Ana, right? She just used literally both her cooldowns. Yeah, you can see right now. She still has a ton of time. This is an opportunity for you to like just hard commit on this Ana, right? No reason to be scared of her. You saw her use both her cooldowns, right? And because you didn't use that opportunity to like commit on her, either A, because you don't know how many Zarya bubbles she has, right? It turns out she has none. Maybe she just bubbled one of her teammates. I doubt it though. But like either or, you commit on this Ana and get the kill because she's no cooldowns and she's completely isolated, right? She was here and her entire team was like on the left side relative to this position. Or you just shoot her, bait out the bubble, you could potentially just kill her through the bubble anyways, or just bait the bubble and just literally walk away so they have literally 0 cooldowns, and then like go for, I don't know, shoot the Zarya in the meantime, and then shoot the Ana once the bubble is like expired, right? You'll still have enough time. That's why it's very important to keep track of that stuff. In this position, because your whatever Sojourn's so weak, and it's like inside the wall, and they have a Junkrat, right? If the Junkrat shoots you, he's just gonna like splash damage your Sojourn. What you should be doing now is like trying to like pressure their teams so they don't have an easy angle onto your Sojourn. Like, I get you're trying to body block it. You can see they have a lot of splash damage, so yeah, nothing you can do body block it, unfortunately. Here, no real reason to go back to your team. I will say, like, you know, the Ana used both her cooldowns again, right? She slept your Sojourn, and she naded your Sojourn, right? Or I guess she naded you. I think maybe the Sojourn is already dead. And the Zarya, again, is just consistently walking forward 0 bubbles. You see, she has like no charge. She's had like max 30 charge this entire game. There's no real reason for you to be backing up because their Moira is still dead, right? This is still a winnable fight if instead of like backing up, you use the fact that this Zarya has no bubbles and the Ana is like no cooldowns either to like go in. This is another position you missed out on. They still have no cooldowns, right? The Zarya, again. See here. See again, the Ana. No cooldowns. She just slept. You heard that. You should have heard that, right? This is another opportunity for you to go in. I think you like know maybe that you try to use your shout to like commit, but that was a position where you could have just like hard walked on the Zarya because she had no charge, no bubbles, and the Ana had no cooldowns, right? Very important to always like punish people for doing stuff like that. I will mention, right? You probably had an opportunity to use ult. Probably would think you're using ult there. But if you were just like a second faster and recognized the situation, it would have been, you know, you would have won that fight instead of getting capped here. So. Yeah, no, I mean, there's really nowhere else you can play on this map. It kind of blows. So this is one opportunity that you actually hard punish this Zarya when she uses both her bubbles in front of you, right? This is kind of what I was talking about. You see she burns her bubbles, right? It's perfectly okay to commit all your cooldowns into her and just blow her up, right? You see your mechanics aren't even perfect there. You lose her for a second. You know, and her supports maybe could have done a better job of like tanking her. But you see she uses both her cooldowns like immediately and doesn't space them out. So that's like why she didn't have effectively 3 bubbles there, right? And you just pop all your cooldowns and literally just like hard walk onto her, right? If you do that more consistently, and you also use the fact that she's really far away from her team, right? So you're just unlikely to get like septonated instantly. You'll just win against Zarya far more. You know, I'm not saying Zarya is like a particular problem against you, but a lot of people struggle against her, right? This is okay, I'm not saying anything because this is fine, right? Just kill the guy behind. Yeah, no real reason to shout, right? What you should do is this Moira, I'm pretty sure, had Fade. Yeah, this Moira greeted. Like, she made a mistake. Better Moiras will not just die with Fade, right? What you should be doing instead is using the fact that their tank isn't back yet, right? And their Ana's on cart, and their junk just fed, to poke out the Moira, right? See where she fades, and if she fades in a killable position, then you hit your shout, and then just run after her, right? And just get the kill before she can get back. That's okay there, right? But I'm sure you can see if this Moira was just like a bit less cocky, she would have faded out and you would have no opportunity to punish her because you used your shout earlier, right? It's fine, right? Unfortunately, there's really nothing to do on this map. If, you know, this is only Diamond 3, so one thing you can play around doing is like holding the cart here. Really risky, but it does give your team opportunities to like shoot from that position and like also rotate out here and shoot from up here. And you're also fairly easy to heal, right? Unfortunately, your like support comp isn't great, so it's probably not the best play. But it's for the future, maybe something you can try to play around with. But I think it'll like not work very well as a rank up. It's just too easy for them to take angles on you. This is okay. Yep. Yeah, no real reason to rush that knife, right? You could have kept going for that torb, by the way. There's like no, once you get behind, hopefully it doesn't crash here. Okay, well we'll again, no real reason to shout. You're full HP, right? And they're like right next to you. So shouting's not doing anything for starters, right? You just don't have it for the next like 12 or 15 seconds. Once you ult in, right? You see they're all turning for you, which gives your team a lot of space to like walk forward. And you're just gonna insta-kill the Ana. Just let that play out. You shouldn't be like re-peeking them this early, right? You can literally just keep peeking, or sorry, playing here, trying to shoot the Torb if they overextend, right? Because he can't get healed. 1, the Ana's dead, and 2, he's antied. And just play, for example, around this cover here and this Mega in here, right? Once you're already behind, you might as well like full commit and try to wipe their backline. And hope your team just wins like the 2v4 at the front line, right? If they lose like 2v4s consistently, like you're just gonna lose the game no matter what. Right, and I will say if you kept fighting this Torb instead of peeking like both the Sig and the Torb, right, you would have denied the Mega and killed the Torb, and then continue to kill the whatever, the Sigma anyways, right? Kind of micro errors there, kind of macro errors. But you already had a fine position there, right? No reason to kind of throw it away.
No one can resist my spell.
You're right, don't do this. You just jumped in their entire backline. And they like didn't use any cooldowns there. Ana uses sleep literally like the second you jump down. But she still has nade, right? You didn't see her use it. If you don't see people use cooldowns, right, assume they have it. And you're just jumping into like a Junkrat, Torb, Ana, and if you like get hit with anything, you're just gonna get like booped around, make it impossible for them to hit anything and get insta kill. So yeah, see that's exactly what happens here, right? What you should do instead at this point, right, is probably play like this corner right here and stop the card from moving anymore and just try to stall as long as possible and see if anyone overextends and you can like just do a ton of damage to them, right? No reason to like go for this really aggressive play when you have literally no advantage, right? The only time this works is if they like disconnect and you just like drop on someone and like two-shot them, right? So you just kind of throw away this totally holdable defense. This point's really actually quite difficult to count. Yeah, so I'm sure you can see in retrospect, literally nobody's gonna do that. I would say, I don't know if you're queen only. I don't think it's necessary to swap much ever, especially in like Diamond 3. Just for like reference, you can come up on like Diva. I think she's probably the fastest way to contest points. Or if you have like a bit more time, you could come up Ball just because he's tankier. You just don't have the grapple right away with Ball. But if you're Junk or Queen only, right, it really doesn't matter. I'm sure you can see there are like a ton of different scenarios this game where you could have made slightly different decisions and like done way better. Again, hopefully this doesn't crash the game. Okay, we're in the clear. So I don't know if you noticed this Junkrat's really close. If he overextends and plays this angle for too long, I would be looking to like destroy the trap and come peek this angle, right? And if he's too close, then you can just shout on him and kill him, right? He's kind of isolated. As you can see right now, like none of his supports can heal him very easily. Right, we see from the Ana, can't see him. The Moira can't see him as well. So he still has like a while to rotate back to him, and there's a chance you can catch him. At this time, probably not, right? It's okay. You got no real reason to shout, right? If you just walk up, like you just shout to this corner, but like you would have been able just to walk to this corner in the first place anyways, right? So you just keep throwing away your like playing, right? I will say again, like this junk, you sold this junk in this room earlier. It's kind of awkward. You still here. I wouldn't expect that, but it is Diamond. So you probably should have been like scouting to see if the junk was still in the room, and then like using your shout and your knife and stuff to like get the guaranteed intro pick on them. Again, right. I'll bring it up again, just because it's important. When they like peek these 1v1s with you, I'm not gonna rewind, but you were standing right here, right? No one can shoot you except like the Sig if he like peeks all the way out here, right? And puts himself literally in the middle of your entire team. When people like peek corners or doorways like this and force these 1v1s, just take your time, right? Because you have so much more HP than they do, and your damage is well, it's roughly the same as Junkrat's. If you just like don't move and just shoot him, you'll just win the 1v1 by virtue of having more HP and like the same amount of damage as he does, right? So that's okay. It's okay. I think swinging on the tank's pretty good. Here I'd be going on this Ana, right? No real reason to be so. You just saw her use sleep, and even if she nades you, she has no sleep, and you know the Junkrat is you can see him on her screen all the way away from her, and the Torb is like splitting from her too. So if you get naded, you just literally LMS her, right? No real reason to be afraid of her. Alternatively, you could have kept chasing the Torb or the Junkrat, right? I think you get the Junk here. Maybe it was a tactical stagger on your part. This is okay until like about right now, right? You probably should have been hitting tab after like every team fight. I just hit tab and like see what tank they have. This isn't still. I mean, it's a little unfortunate, and you should have been hitting tab, right? Strange he swapped Hog. But I will say, you know two people on your team are on the cart, right? So when you play here, you're playing at a 3v1, right? You knew their Ana rotated here, you know the Torb was here to begin with. So just like setting yourself up here is just like asking yourself also to get like a negative cooldown trade because their entire team's there, right? You're just effectively taking a 1v3. But it's also partially unfortunate, right? Kind of a silly mistake, right? Just hit tab next time. We're more consistently, I should say. Maybe you don't know they swap Hog, but you know they swap tanks, right? And you know he's like respawned at that time. It's okay not to peek here. Just waiting on your team to respawn. One small tip against Hog in the future, when you think he's looking for a hook, I don't know if you like intentionally did it there, throw the knife in him because he's a really easy knife target, and when you think he's going to throw a hook, or he hooks one of your teammates, right? Just like withdraw the knife, and if you mess up his aim, he gets like no value. It's okay, it could have been a little cleaner. This is still okay. Definitely just farm him for now. Whatever, they use 3 ults, it doesn't really matter. Kind of silly or fair ults. If they want to use 3 ults and just win a fight, it's okay.
That's no way to treat your queen.
Again, there are a lot of like micro things you could have done differently there. I wouldn't really stress it. Again, I'm not a big fan of using shout out of spawn, right? You would have gotten to the same position more or less, maybe a second or two slower. But now since you don't have shout, you can't potentially punish this Moira or like the Torb for being low right now, right? You see, you're just like continuously stuck in this situations where you just kind of waste shout, just losing out on a ton of opportunities to like punish people that are oversent. This is pretty good. The only problem is, you know, the Hog has his hook, and you know the Ana has her sleep, right? Or I guess she used it really early. I didn't see her use it, okay. But she also has nade, and and the important thing is, you know the Hog has this hook, right? By the timing, he gets it like every 6 seconds. So you should be looking just to shoot him, right? Especially since he's already really low. You could potentially not even use your ult here, but you really should be looking for him to use his cooldown. Since he's so low, you just need to kill him. This is good. Yup. It's tough. I'd be going back to just kill the people that are behind, just leaving the Ana alone. You just want your team to be able to walk up for free. Ideally, your team won't be losing to a Junkrat, like, in the open, and a Moira in the open, but you never know, right? I'd be trying to, like, go back and kill these people. It's really unfortunate that they're doing this. I know you can say card. So against Ryan, you always want to keep him out of hammer range. When you were playing here and he was playing on the opposite side of cart, right? It's perfectly fine just to shoot him, but your mistake, even though it seems really small, is that you jumped up here and got too close to him, and it's allowed him to walk forward onto you and swing, right? This is not where you want to be against Ryan, because like he does 0 damage unless he's within swing range, right? And you're also opening yourself up just to get really easily nated by this Ana, because you're also dancing around like open space too, right? And like your movement's getting controlled by the Rhine too, because you let him get that like a bit too close. It's okay. And let yourself get a little close. You see you're like getting the axe swing on the Rhine, but he's LOSing your entire team, and they're better targets, for example, over here, right? Like you're getting a little bit of healing per second, but you see like there are a lot of actually better targets, right? Yeah, and you're also opening yourself up just to like walk into his effective range again, right? And just lose the trade because he just more damage when you consider his shield. It's pretty good, right? Which you can see it's a little late, but it's good that you just ignore the Rhine, right? If you have the opportunity to ignore like people that can just stall you out, just go for it. This is fine, right? That's fundamentally what you want to be doing, right? You know, again, if you didn't axe swing, you maybe could have just shot her there. You see, like, there's a second long wind up on axe, and that's kind of what I was talking about, right? That's why you lose so much DPS with axe. If you're not using it to like sustain yourself, especially against tanks, it's like not that super great of a cooldown because you can just kill people faster if you just shoot them, so their DPS goes to 0. Even though you have like 0 healing per second, or maybe, you know, you get the knife healing per second, opposed to like letting them just like do double damage to you because you're like charging up an axe. This is fine. I will say, right, you have an opportunity, to example, just to literally walk up here, right? Instead of going for this super long rotation on Junkrat, who's honestly probably not going to do anything, right? Your Widow has walls, and he's like, his range is like not good. What you could do instead, for example, is just walk all the way up here, force a 1v1 with a Torb, right? You can play around the Mega. You could try to like harass their backline, right? To completely ignore the Rhine. If the Rhine turns around for you, right, you can hear him charge, and no problem, right? You just play within these doorways unless you see a really good opportunity to get a pick. Like, let's say you hit like a really good knife on the Ana after she wastes her like cooldowns. You just run in and get the pick, right? And you just keep going behind and forcing their entire team back, which gives your team like a billion angles, and they're able to walk forward and help you, right? No real reason to like fear this Rhine if you don't have to. And that's because he just stalls you out and just wins like the resources. You see, he's kind of trolling by like continuously LOSing his supports. He was literally like LOSing his supports for like a good 3 seconds here. And he's still like taking no damage, right? Your backline just is not good at punishing him. It's just really your Sojourn and your Widow can punish him, right? I mean, in addition to you, but like Juno and Moira do 0 damage, right? So you can just kind of get away with stupid stuff like that. Say Ryan probably should have been paying attention. Ryan pinned, but the Ana's still asleep, right? She just literally missed it. You can see you heard her use it there. So better Ana's will sleep that stuff. Here, right? You kill the Ana, you're already behind, and you're already able to cause chaos in their backline. Instead of like turning for this Rhine, even though he's antied, once he gets nanoed, literally just ignore him and try to kill someone else. For example, like this Torb right here, because you're just never going to be able to kill this Rhine with your backline. It's just like farm. See, like you just get instant alive. I will say he also still has his Moira alive too, right? If you just kept opening the angle for your team, that probably would have been maybe you don't win the fight, but you have way better like chances to win the fight than just focusing all your like attention on a nano grind. Again, probably know what I'm gonna say. No real reason to do this. It's okay. Yup. Get rid of the turret. So no real reason to go for a knife right now. I haven't brought this up before. I probably should have brought it up, but you have a tendency of like throwing knives and like not even seeing if they're going to connect before you just like walk away, right? You can afford to see if they're going to connect before you walk away, right? So you can actually shoot the person you knife. But at this distance, right, if you knife anyone that's not the Rhine, they're going to get pulled to like right here-ish, right? As get shielded off or be able to like take cover really easily. And if you like hit the Rhine, he's going to like come out here and just like hold shield and walk back anyways, right? And you're like most likely target to hit's the Rhine anyways, so. Here, right, you're down 2. You can probably just back up or just keep playing high ground, right? Because the Rhine's kind of slow. I'd honestly back up because if he pins behind and cuts you off, you're kind of in a bad spot. But honestly, if he does that, there's nothing you can do. You just have to hope he doesn't and try to back out. His chances are you just won't be able to kill anyone. Obviously, using shout to a Rhine's like not the best play. Kind of a random trap. That's good. Fine, waiting for your team to come back. Unfortunate, Sojin feeds. In these situations, what you should be doing is like just intermittently peeking to like throw your knife. I will say you should know the trap's still around this area, right? Because you saw the Junkrat throw a trap after you got trapped again, so you should be looking out for it, right? Kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyways, what I was saying is in these positions where your team is like continuously staggering, just like jiggle peek cover, look for someone that's overextended, like try to knife them in to like get a intro pick for your team. Again, I'm sure you can see like you shout in these positions where you literally can't to like capitalize on the fact that you shout, right? It's just unkillable. We'll say this Ana, again, no cooldowns, right? If you still had shout and weren't like face tanking his Torb so much, especially when once he uses overload, you can just like walk up here and hard commit on this Ana again, right? She's like continuously using her cooldowns, and you're just not like punishing her for doing so. It's pretty good here. Right. I will say that's a good position to use your axe. And it's good because they cannot see you, right? They were both right here. I mean, the Moira can see you, but that's beside the point, right? They can't see you when you turn the corner, and you also get like a hit 2 for the price of 1, right? So you like effectively take 0 damage when you charge up your axe swing, and then once you are already ready to swing your axe, you're like immediately peeking them, right? That's like a good position to use axe compared to just using it out in the open and like really telegraphing what you're gonna do and like poke down before you like even make contact. I'd be expecting the Moira after she fades to like fade up here. That's where she goes. So that's okay. Guess her tank was resetting stats or something. Yep, this is fine. You saw they use overload. Honestly, you do like 0 damage to the turret, so it's okay. Just LOS that. I would say I do like that. I think sometimes when they use cooldowns and like nothing else is happening, you do have a tendency to like just LOS them and not give them value, and that's something a lot of others tanks struggle with, right? They just peek it for no reason, just get blown up. So, I don't know if you noticed, the Orisa used her Javelin, you heard that Ana used her Sleep, and you see the nade right now. This is a good position for you to use your ult. And the Torb also has no ult. Once your team commits all those ults, though, I don't know if I'd go for the ult. And I will say, the only reason I was hesitant for you using the ult is because the entire enemy team is like kind of LOSing your team by being on this line, right? It makes it kind of awkward for your team. I just know based on their positioning, they're all going to be behind you. But you'll be able to hit literally their entire team, and like nothing can punish you, right? You'll be able to hit literally at least everyone besides their supports and land where their supports are. But the Ana has no cooldowns, and the Moira is just not a threat, right? So like, worst case, you get no team support, but you still are able to get picks, right? It's fine to turn around more. I mean, Ana's like unkillable when she's nanoed, so. That's okay, right? You're not gonna get every single pick. Doesn't really matter. It's just important to give yourself as many opportunities to make the right cooldown trades like that, and to like maximize the chances for picks, right? Let's say, right, if you're just shooting that Torb, the chances are he dies. He had no support, which is why I say that. When you like axe tanks, for example, you can't just like 2-shot them anyway, so you're not really like losing out on anything in value. You're just making it harder for them to get rid of you because your sustain goes like through the roof. So you just stack bleeds on them. But like with like DPS, you can just like 2-3 shot them anyways. Okay. Nice. Tank the thing. That's another good position to use your axe. You can see like when you use it on these corners where no one can see you, but you know the Torb's literally right here, you're taking 0 damage when you wind it up, and they just run into it over and over again, right? Or you're able just to easily run into them, and like since you have to like stop peeking every time you shoot, like ideally, you're not really losing any FPS if you do it like that. So maybe I repeated myself on that a bit too much, right? I'm just trying to like highlight when it's good versus like not optimal to use these cooldowns.
Initiating match.
I don't know if I want to risk it. Okay, I guess I'm gonna risk it here. Hopefully it does not crash out. Okay, I will just have to bear with the next 20 seconds, I apologize.
Just taking out the trash.
5, 4.
Yep, fun stuff. Like we're just waiting.
Attackers incoming.
Again, I'm not gonna say anything. I think you know no reason to do that. This is the problem here, right? I will say, right, you heard, or maybe it was your own Ana, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, it was your own Ana. But you saw the Zarya just like instantly use both her bubbles, so she's gonna have a ton of time left on her cooldowns, right? So this would be a possible like opportunity if you still had your shout to throw a knife into her. You know, pull her in, shout, and just like damage dump her, right? Just keep shooting her in the head, swing your axe on her, and just try to kill her before she gets bubbles back. Probably not going to happen, right, when they have both their supports on her, just double pocketed, but... I would almost say this is good, because you saw the Zarya, no bubbles. The problem is that obviously, I think this is what you were referencing, right? The Ana had her cooldowns, right? I mean, I guess she used nade. I wasn't even paying attention to that. I think she naded like the Zarya earlier, but she still had her sleep. But you're also peeking too early, right? Because as you can see now, your team is just now swinging the corner as you die. This is kind of a positional mistake. You know your team is going to be behind you, and judging by like, you know, you had like 2 or 3 on card the entire time, you know they're going to be playing on the card, and they're just not able to swing the corner fast enough to like help you like go in, right?
Receive my aid.
Yeah, so I will say you were also a bit far away from the corner, right? I don't want to rewind, which kind of like ruined your engagement opportunity window there. So
10 seconds remaining.
yeah, you can say like I went into the sleep, but I think the primary issue there is that you just ran into 5 people and your team wasn't ready to swing, right? Based on the position of the card.
Complete.
Again, I'll try to fast forward here. Hopefully it does not crash out.
3, 1.
Okay, I've gotten lucky today, so
Incoming.
this is definitely holdable.
The payload.
This is good. A little too far, right? That's okay. It's kind of fundamentally what you want to be doing. If the Moira wasn't there, well, maybe since the Moira was there, I wouldn't shout in unless you like poke them down first, and then you shout in to commit. But like, it's okay. Like you see that they're isolated. Yeah, so it's okay. We'll say the Junkrat put a trap on you. I don't know if you heard that. This is fine here. You just have to worry about going beyond this corner right here, because your supports can no longer heal you, right? Like this is fine. Your Ana can still heal you. Your Weaver can still heal you. But this is like trolling, right? Because this force, I guess your Weaver unfortunately like just overextends for no reason, anyways. But I'm sure you can see here, your Ana can't heal you, and if your Weaver's smarter, he can't heal you either. So you just have to make sure you don't overextend beyond that corner too often. Also, you also have opportunities to excuse me, to let the car come up a bit further and like play around this corner right here, which is way stronger for you again. If you recall, like at the beginning of this game, it forces them to like play really far up, like take this angle, which is just a troll, or like walk here, which is also kind of a troll, or like take this really wide angle, which makes it really easy for your team to shoot them. If you're just a bit more patient, right? No reason to be contesting this early. But it's okay, you're still getting value. Unfortunate, the junk hits a good combo on you. I will say that that's a consequence of you kind of being too aggressive too early, right? You see you have like 5 meters. I'll show you where like this card caps out. Just to show you how much like difference the slight positional um thing is, like this slight positional like card position. If you'll excuse my inability to speak. Just to show you like how much more powerful just waiting literally like a second too longer would have been, right? Like now you see when you're here, this wall and this card are basically in a line, so it makes it really easy for your supports to heal you, right? If you walk out here, because your Ana can just literally AFK heal bot like here, and if they overextend, she can chuck a nade. And it also allows you to just like keep rotating between the cart and this corner and force them again to like swing out this way, right? But when you continuously peek into them, right now you have no help from your team. But if you force them to peek you, which is like really strong in defense, you have all the help from your team. And if they swing too early, they make the same mistake you did on offense, right? You swing too early, you go into a 1v5 when your team isn't ready, and they're probably going to make the same mistake because they're the same rank as you, right? So, yeah. So regardless, yeah. I will say again, if you played that a bit more patiently, you definitely could have full held this too, right? Even with 3 minutes or yeah, 3 minutes they had or something like that. Yeah. So again, in closing, I think primarily you need to be like focusing more on what cooldowns the enemy team uses and like thinking about how you can punish them directly or someone on their team, right? Um, Generally speaking, when they use cooldowns that are really important that like counter you, you want to be doing something really aggressively, right? And when they have them, you gotta play passively. Um, Secondly, focus on your own cooldowns, right? I think I kind of explained this already. Um, Primarily, I want you focusing on your shout, right? That's the most important part of Queen's kit, because it's both kind of like your engage tool, or most consistent engage tool, right? I guess knife is kind of an engage tool too, if you hit a good knife, and it's also kind of like your sustainability, right? I mean, your primary sustainability, right? So without it, you're like very punishable, but with it, you can like really hard engage and just run people over. Third, I'm gonna say again, positioning, right? There are a lot of like um tips I gave, right? Watching your player counts, trying to force people to peek into you, so you're not like forcing 1v5s rather than forcing yourself into 5v1s or something to that effect, right? Just playing around corners where your team can effectively help you, but you like deny the enemy team the ability to like help whoever's peeking the corner, right? Um, yeah, stuff like that. If you have any questions, feel free to like comment or ask.